not dead. I'm still alive somehow. Surviving in this crazy ass world, man. I mean, it's been a hot minute since we've done a live stream for everybody, and that's just the truth. And my God, can we say though, my God, the world has gotten stranger since the last live stream. Um, don't worry, we're not going to go into particulars. We are still a weed show. We are not going to delve, in theory, too far down the rabbit hole on anything other than the fact that, man, God, the world has gone crazy. But Uncle Potsquatch is still here. I'm still alive, and we're having a good time. All right, what's up, Jansen Dennis? You're always there. Much love, buddy. Thank you to joining this show. And 1 second here. Jansen Dennis says, my list, ice, more beer. The aim will continue. Life is great, mate. How's the car, Josh? Just got a N-line Hyundai 2023 manual. I'm 54 turbo. Hell yeah, buddy. I'm just reading everyone's stuff. What's up, Happy Dude Grows? What's up, Kent Rath? Good to see you, buddy. What's up, Smokey? Do I use jars or growth bags? I only use jars. Growth bags are not my thing. I'm a glass curer. Okay, so let's talk about the general premise of a growth bag. Having a built-in vent. To be honest with you, like, we talked about that years ago on the channel, about making a curing container or a curing thing with breathable burping valves. Growth bags in general concept are cool. But would I ever switch to using them? Highly doubtful. I'm a purist. I stick to what works for me and what I like. No shame in choosing the growth bag, but I like glass. It's non-reactive. It's just the way to go, baby. What's up, Tommy D? What's up, Dan Stutzke? Good to see you, buddy. All right. But good question though. Very good question. I'm not a growth bag user. I'm a glass jar user. And to be fair, like, especially in this day and age where everything seems to be getting more expensive, probably the easiest way to get affordable glass jars for curing your weed is go to the damn dollar store. The dollar store is your friend. I remember the first time I talked about this on the show years ago, and I remember, the jars that I typically use, depending on density, they're going to fit 2.5 to maybe 4 ounces, depending on your density on your flower. They're like $2-3 or something like that at a Canadian dollar store, okay? But I remember being at Zellers and then being at Zellers and seeing literally the same jar for sale for 15 or 16 bucks. So I guess the age-old story of nowhere to go to grab your glass, yo. But at the end of the day, I'm a glass jar user. It's non-reactive. And they double great for if you ever want to make hash oil or this or that. I can run them through my dishwasher and they're reusable. And so, yeah, I'm a glass guy. Pretty much anyone in the community that would be similar to me, aka, we're not huge growers, we're smaller growers typically, or we're connoisseurs, we're weed lovers. We're going to be storing our stash in glass jars, and we're going to be curing in glass jars. Is burping a chore? Is it a thing you got to work into your daily schedule? Yeah, of course it is. I mean, it's definitely an extra thing. But, that ain't no thing in my humble 2 cents. It's like, whatever, baby, you know what I'm saying? Like, get home, make your dinner, crack a beer, spark a doobie, pull your jars out. First week or two of curing, I like to remove all of my flour from the jars, rearrange it, allow it to sit in the, like a nice big bowl, and then we reorganize it, put it in a different order back into the jar for the further curing, shall we say. But yeah. Inhale, spit. Excuse me. I inhaled spit. What's up, Alien Garden Genetics? Cheers to you with the beers. Sorry. Inhaling spit is never fun. Cheers back to you, buddy. But anyway, I'm about to hit a little gray zone vape available locally. This is not government made. This is gray zone market product. It is live resin and liquid diamonds. Which, to be fair, if I'm being honest, okay, seems like a silly concept. I mean, yeah, it's for marketing, I get it. But so what they're telling me is, so you take live rosin, great. And then you take other products and then you literally chemically create diamonds, which is how the process works. Then you're going to remove those diamonds and then re-liquefy something that was already liquid after making it into a diamond and then putting it back in. maybe one could argue that, yeah, there's certain different cannabinoids and stuff like that would be present within the, the diamonds. So, the terp sauce itself would be present, and then just the diamonds. I don't know. It seems silly to me, but to be fair, I still smoke them though. No, I didn't turn it on. There we go. It's on now. That might help. How you doing, Alien Garden? Good to see you, buddy. A lot of people have been like, where have you been? Are you dead? I'm not dead. Do you have anything growing right now? No, it's too hot. We're having a bit of a heat wave here in Vancouver. Honestly, expenses are high in general in Canada right now. So we are in the middle of a trade war with, I won't say America, because we're really not at war with America. We're just at war with MAGA and the current administration. So prices are a little high right now, but that's called sticking it up for ourselves. And so I have not been able to, have the extra scratch to go buy a new AC. It is what it is. Not a big deal. I have tons of weed still. I'm pretty sure I can survive another few weeks, and then temperatures are going to start dropping down again, and then I can fire up the grow tent, and it'll be okay. So right now we don't have anything growing. I mean, to be fair, though, some of you would say, and actually this would be the right thing to say and the right point to make, well, you can get something started. You don't need a grow tent for when you're vegging. You usually veg for at least, 2 to 4 weeks in solo cups, and that is true. So maybe we should start some babies and get them going, getting ready for when the temperatures drop, and we can get some more weed titties going. Yeah, so maybe we'll do that. That's a good idea. What's up, Daniel and Jurassic? Good to see you, baby. All right. What's up, Outlaws Nation CS? Good to see you, baby. How you doing? Welcome to the show. It's tasty. It's not a bad product. I will say, like, the flavor on it, there's no added anything, because I wouldn't buy a product that has added terpenes. That feels like sacrilege to me. Either the flavor of the product that I'm consuming comes from the plant itself. I don't want added terpenes. I don't want anything added. Unless it is derived from cannabis, it does not get smoked by me, frankly. So the flavor's not too bad, but she hits pretty good. The one thing I will say about these little Gray Zone vapes that I've been buying, the batteries aren't great. It'll get you through the day, though. It'll get you through the day. And the airflow isn't great on it. The airflow isn't great. It could have better airflow. So it could have slightly better battery. It could have slightly better airflow. In terms of the product, I mean, yeah, it could taste a little bit better. It doesn't taste bad. It's just not great. But, it is what it is, baby. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Deborah Fletcher, no worries. It happens. There's going to be some times where people, sometimes we'll get in arguments in our own community with each other, and we should try not to do that. That's always best to avoid that, I think. We're a diverse community of different growing styles, different strains that we like, different political ideologies, different spiritual beliefs, different sexual orientations, different identifications. I identify as a Sasquatch, right? So we need to respect each other, though. That's been probably one of the cornerstones from day one, really, is about respecting each other within the community. And so, but yeah, no worries. I'm always going to stand up for people. And if two people that I love are being silly to each other, I'm going to put you both on a timeout and be like, all right, now, children, be good. Don't be mean to each other. And then sometimes we get some fucking trolls up in here. And I mean, it's been a hot minute. We haven't done a live stream in a while. That's where I'm not expecting many people to show up in the show today. But you never know. We got to start somewhere and build our way back up and being present within the cannabis community, and the funny thing is, I love how, the cannabis channels in general are still persecuted, which I find funny, they let us back into the monetization just to kick us out. And it's like, if you didn't shadow ban us and just let us participate, like if we do something bad, obviously get mad at us, but most of us don't. We're just talking about weed and respecting each other. And it's just like, it would allow me to have more time to actually do the platform. It would allow me to actually be doing things if there was a small secondary source of revenue from YouTube. There was at one point. There was a point in time where we actually made some money doing this. We didn't start the channel making money, but I also didn't think that anyone would ever show up. I also didn't think my last marriage would fall apart. I didn't think I'd end up working back in Vancouver and the Tri-Cities. I didn't think I would end up working for a corporation. I didn't think I would end up being a maintenance man and a fleet manager and fix cars and buildings and things all day. I mean, life's a funny thing. I didn't think I'd get a zombie dick attack a couple years back. Who remembers that? That was a weird one. You know, but that is, I think, really the general mantra of being a weed grower, a weed YouTuber, or just a general human fucking being. You never know what life's gonna give you, baby. You never know what's around the bend. There's gonna be good, there's gonna be bad, there's gonna be some really bad, there's gonna be some shit, some fucking great things too. And it's like, you know, you just gotta roll with the punches. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, and you just gotta keep on keeping on, you know what I'm saying, baby? But yeah, Kent Rass says, I haven't seen anything from you for a while. I thought maybe you were shooting that movie. No, I wish I was shooting that movie. No, that movie never happened. It's still supposedly happening. I'm still waiting to see when Go Day is. But no, I've just been really busy, and it's been too hot to grow as of late. And yeah, you know, just trying to survive, man, you know. And so when you work 8 to 10 hours a day and you have a 1 to 2 hour commute on either side of that, and then you're trying to survive in elevated costs as a single income household, there's not a lot of energy or time left to work on YouTube stuff as much. So I'm trying to get to a place where we can at least release a sort of steady basic content for everybody, like we have been off and on since the return. It's just really hard to do when you don't, like when I was working from home, when I was, you know, bartending, when I was having a lot of time to myself, it was really easy to make the channel. It's really easy to make a lot of content and to do all that kind of shit. But when you got to work for the man just to survive and still live paycheck to paycheck, even though you make the best money on paper you've ever made, it doesn't leave a lot of gas in the tank for time. But I'm working on that. I'm trying to reevaluate and make it work. I'm doing my best, you know what I'm saying? But yeah. Well, I am a man, but thank you very much, Alien God Genetics. I do appreciate that. Daniel Andrassi, didn't you do MMA too? I fought underground cage when I was younger. Yeah, I was a fighter when I was younger. It's been a hot minute since I've done anything like that. I'm not that old, and I mean, I just turned 37 July 5th. I think I got a few years left in me where I could make a go out of it. I think I could get in shape in 6 months. I could do 2 or 3 amateur fights, and I think I could go at least low-level pro, which would be the Battle Fight League here in Vancouver. I think I could do that. I mean, would I ever be able to make it to the UFC? Only if I start like just wrecking really quick and get a lot of fights really quickly and get my ass into shape pretty quick. But to be fair, like I am in vastly better shape and my joints are better. Everything's better than most 37-year-olds. So there's still a bit of life to me. I ain't dead yet, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you, I ain't dead yet, you know. But that's not really where my desire is. You know, I'm so busy. Here's my desire: keep paying off debt, try to buy another house. So, or technically it would be a float home here in BC. So there's no way in hell I'm affording a house. So we could actually get some better content, a little bit more space going for everybody. Start breeding again, developing new genetics for everybody again, releasing consistent content. Hoping that one day YouTube fucks off. Because, like, I mean, the reason why our numbers stay so low all the time is because we are shadow blocked. Like, there's weird shit that YouTube does. It seems to, you know, every 1 or 2 years lift temporarily, and then I do something they get mad about, and then boom, it all goes away again. But it is what it is. Hey, man, Daniel Andrassi, no worries. If there's one thing I can always say I'm going to be able to do is it'll be myself. I may not release content as consistently. I may not always be there all the time. But I will always be me, baby. And that'll never change, at least. Ken Rass, like, you're just a kid yet, man. Wait till you're 68 like me. I feel you, man. Like, I know. I got some gas left in the tank. I'm doing all right. What's up, Vic Victor? Good to see you, man. You know, it's funny, too, because, like, with my little hiatus of just sort of working and focusing and taking care of my little puppies and doing stuff and paying off debt and trying to survive in an adult world, you know, I haven't even paid attention to other channels. Like, has anyone been, like, kicked off YouTube that I don't know about? Are they all still there? Have there been any new infighting between other channels? That used to be a thing back in the day, man. It was hilarious when I would see these channels going off on each other, and I'm like, guys, you're defeating the purpose of the whole cannabis community, right? Like, we've already still got a whole world, even in legal parts of the world, a lot of people will look down on our community. YouTube still looks down on our community. It's like, do we really want to give them more fuel for the fire and bullets to throw at us by attacking each other or threatening each other on YouTube? Like, that just seems silly to me. But, like, has there been any big drama? I'm assuming Mr. Canuck still exists and he still makes the same video every 1 to 3 months. Hope he's doing well. I know, Mr. Canuck. And that's not me being mean to you. I'm just being honest about my opinion on the content. It's very sexy, it's very silky, it's very smooth, good production levels. And I hope you're doing well. I hope the autos are treating you right. But, like, is he still around? I don't even know. Who else? CLTV, I'm assuming they're still around. Haven't checked in on them, though. I wonder if Dr. Iffy Abiola with his channel is still going. That guy had to be one of the smartest dudes in terms of medical cannabis and cannabis in the human body that I've ever witnessed in my goddamn life. My God, the things in that man's brain were very impressive. I was very impressed by him. Yeah, I don't know. Vic Victor says, oh, what's up, Tony Gilbert? Vic Victor says, thanks for the seeds. I planted 3 and 2 were female, which is what I was hoping for. Hell yeah, buddy. Which ones did you go with? Excuse me, carbonation. Which seeds did you pop there, bud? Did you switch it up, or was it just one strain? I'm trying to decide what we do next on the channel, you know, because like I said, you know, I answered, well, you know, it was like a rebuttal that I imagined one of you would have said, which was, you can get shit going while it's hot, because you don't need to worry about temperature levels if it's not in a tent. You're just starting some seedlings. And I was like, oh yeah, technically you're right, imaginary audience member at home in my head. I don't know what we should do next. The mix pack. Nice. So what did you pick for the mix pack, Vic Victor? Ooh, Tony Gilbert has a great question. See, and this is what I miss with the old shows. People used to ask so many questions. I feel like some of you have already got all the information that you really need from me, so that's why there's less questions. But feel free to ask any questions you want in terms of cannabis stuff. I mean, technically, you could ask me almost anything, and typically, most things I'll answer. But I love when people ask me weed questions, because it stimulates my brain to have something to talk about and to, like, do it. So Tony Gilbert has asked a great question, everybody. So Tony Gilbert has asked, I'm having to move. How do I move a grow safely? So I actually have had to move a grow myself. Here's the question. Are you in veg right now? If you're in veg, how big are they? I need a bit more information, Tony. How many plants are we talking? What are they planted in? How have you been growing them? So give me your basic rundown. If it's in soil, good. Pots aren't too big, great. If it's only like a foot or two tall, even better. I had to move a grow. And this was back when Dottie was still in my life. And we bought our first little place. And I had some, wait a minute. No, this is when we bought the second place. Or was it the first place? Let me think. I got to remember. I think it may have been, actually was the first place. Why did I have plants that big though? Anyway, it doesn't matter. What I'm remembering is moving to the first place. And I had not tons of plants, but I had like 6 plants, four to 6 plants. And they were pretty tall though. They were like 6-7 feet tall. It also may have been from the first place to the second place, to be fair. Let's not lie to ourselves. It could have been that too. So one of those house moves when I was with Dottie, I was in soil. I feel like they were probably in either 3-gallon or 5-gallon. My idea here of what I'm going to say is, oh, he's not in veg. Okay, we got to change this. I'm not in veg. I have 8 plants. They're in soil about 3 feet or so. Okay, cool. So I'll tweak my answer. I'm still going to recommend the same basic thing. Giant garbage bins are your friend, okay? You're going to get yourself some giant garbage bins. Like we're talking the big cocksuckers here, okay? And, or any big container like that. Then I would put my buckets in the bottom of that. I'm going to pack some stuff around the bucket to keep that kind of sturdy. If I'm in flower, I want to like control movement on the plant. So I'm actually going to like bind the plant I'm going to weave in and around some of the bottom there. I'm going to make it kind of woven a bit. And then I'm going to wrap around the outside maybe with a bit of weaving. And then I'm going to actually tie all of that down. That's how I'm going to do that first. And then I'm going to put that into the garbage bin. Then I'm going to pack down that root ball or root medium or that bucket in the bottom. Then I'm just going to put garbage bags over the top. Okay, I'm just going to put garbage bags over the top. And then I'm going to be mindful of unloading them from my truck into the house or wherever I'm moving. Oh, you're not in flower. So you said I'm not in veg and you're not in flower. So what are you then? Transition? It would work for vegging or flowered plants, by the way, though. And then you put garbage bags on the top. And then you're going to probably load those in first when you're doing your truck. Like, let's say you have one truckload. I'm going to get all the regular shit out. People are watching you move in for a couple of hours. They'll eventually lose interest, so they're not paying as much attention. And then I'm just going to quietly, oh, and by the way, yeah, I'm moving in a bunch of plants. Yours are only 3 feet, so you could fit them in garbage cans. I just remembered that you said they're 3 feet. Mine were like 6 feet, so it was a little different. That's why I needed the garbage bags. So yeah, just put them in garbage bins, but as long as you're not driving too far, you'll be fine. If you're in an illegal state, it is more risky. Honestly, this is probably what I would do if you have access to it. If you're in an illegal state, because again, this is hypothetical. I'm not endorsing anyone doing anything illegal ever. Okay, you hear that, YouTube? You can fuck off. But if I were to hypothetically be in an illegal place, I would still do the same thing, load them into my truck and with covers. But what I would also do is I would have a battery bank of sorts. Something like a DeWalt battery booster that's also got a built-in mobile power charge to it. Something that comes with a 120 outlet. And then I'm going to be running my carbon filter in the enclosed space of that truck. To be fair, I might even leave that shit in there when I get where I'm going until nightfall. I probably plan my move later in the day so I can get all the shit out, then they're still not sitting in the truck for too long. And then I'm going to move them in the dusk or the cover of night. Maybe I'd go introduce myself to the neighbors first and be like, oh, hi, he's super friendly. And they'd be like, oh, he's this nice guy. They'd be like, okay, cool. Then I'd move my weed titties in. But those are my thoughts on it. I think that'd be the best way to really do it. In terms of your equipment, most of it should pack up fairly easily. They're not going to know what the fuck the equipment is as long as it's in a box, right? So Tony says, no, I'm literally driving 20 minutes and I'm in a legal state, so I'm okay. Totally. Then just do exactly what I fucking said. You're fine, bud. Don't worry about the power bank. Don't worry about the carbon scrubber. You are gonna be just fine. What's up, Charles Colosito? Good to see you, baby. Welcome to the show. All right. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, the blowing up sensation, the lady herself, Miss K's Garden. Good to see you, girl. Miss K, really proud of you. Just want to say you're doing good work on the YouTube. Making me proud. Uncle Potsquatch is very proud of you. So keep up the good work. I'm proud of you. So Vic Victor says, would you recommend I throw in a tablespoon of sulfur and magnesium during, one, sulfur in general is important. It is a secondary, so you don't need tons and tons of it. Okay, a little bit of sulfur is good, but you don't need tons. But magnesium is a very important nutrient during your flowering process. So having a sufficient magnesium, potassium, these are important things for your flowering period. So yes, when you say a tablespoon, it makes me concerned of what is the product. If it is something that's quite hot, concentrated, please be careful, okay? Remember, cannabis inherently can be fed as much as you want it, but you have to develop it to that point. You have to take your time to get the weed titties ready for food, okay? You have to build them up to it. It's like getting the system of the plant ready for it, right? So don't burn your plants. Be careful. Less is more. Start slow. Build up. Also, too, your potassium and magnesium and etc. Requirements are going to be more required once you hit week 3 starting, is how I would say it for most strains, unless it's like some of those weird super quick strains. Then stepping that up in the midway feed. Obviously, if we're talking about doing a super soil, you can, it's a different concept because we're not feeding per se. But at the same time, a lot of these products that we would be mixing in, that would be providing all this nutrition, are going to need time to break down, come to terms, and having some the microbial beneficials in there, it's going to help that get funky and sexy before you use it. So I would. Do I recommend those things in flour? Sure. Sulfurs, again, like I said, having a little bit, it's not a bad thing, but magnesium's really going to be a quintessential there. Tony Gilbert, as a professional maintenance man and fix-it dude and modification dude, and that's how I make my money now. I'm on the tools. There isn't a laundry system you can't tie into with a bit of know-how and a bit of willingness to dink around. Might take a visit down to Home Depot or Home Hardware, but you can tie into anything. That's very easy. Muskoka James, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. All right, welcome to the show, baby. What's this new Top Fans thing? I mean, I get it. It was the first 3 people that showed up into the show. That's weird. That wasn't part of the live stream the last time we did a live stream, ladies and gentlemen. Man, I have been gone a long time. YouTube's, implementing new shit that I don't get. Oh my God. Something Uncle Potsquatch doesn't understand when it comes to the internet? I'm shocked. Tony Gilbert, what's the fastest you've seen a plant flower? Do you mean in terms of maturation to harvest, or do you mean in terms of transition of initial flip on a photo period? That would be my question. Oh, hi, Gonzanana. Good to see you, baby. What's up? I'm glad you're still awake, man. It's been a hot minute. I hope you're doing well. And if you're still talking to Return to the Mac, you tell him I say hi, and I hope he hasn't lost his mind, and he's doing okay. And he's doing better. There was a time period where a lot of the people in the community, like, everybody went through different things. Everyone went through something. Everybody's life. Ivan's wife had really bad cancer. She's dead now, the Quiet Witch. The Quiet Witch, she dealt with dying. That's a thing. Return to the Mac had his marriage fall apart. I had my engagement fall apart. Our brother Greg went through some shit, had hip replacements, that realized he was not in a relationship he wanted to be in, right? Like, we all were going through something. Gazzers, our boy Gazzers in New Zealand, motherfucker got pinched by the po-po, and then had the book thrown at him and fabricated evidence thrown at him and was put on house arrest for like a year, which is better than 14 years in jail, to be fair, but still it sucks because the guy was just growing some babies. Like, he had maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plants that were small in flower, like tiny little plants. That's it. Those are the only real weed plants, and he was breeding. He was pheno hunting, so he had like a bunch of baby sprouts. Him and the wife, man, him and Mel got hit hard. A lot of us went through shit, but we're all still here, except Sarah. Well, Sarah's probably here. The Quiet Witch's probably still here. She's probably just a ghost right now. She's probably watching this on some, different dimension right now, laughing her ass off, going like, hey, he hasn't forgot my ass. Oh, bitch, how could I forget your ass? But anyway. And by the way, Sarah, Quiet Witch, if you are somewhere, if you are watching, I am keeping my promise of making sure your husband is okay and keeping tabs on him. And if he's being stupid, I tell him I think he's being stupid. Life is a wicked witch. Or a harsh mistress. But that's part of the fun, though, everybody. Think about life like weed titties, okay? If you pamper your plants, you don't train your plants, you're not going to get the best weed. So, human beings, in many senses, in my humble 2 cents, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Haha, joke. Get it, Quiet Witch? Yeah. But the fact of the matter is think of the hardships of life as high stress or low stress training for your weed plants, okay? Really, when done properly and you survive it and you get through it, 9 times out of 10, it is 100% going to improve the weed. It's going to improve you too. And you got to remember, we slice the cake in our perception on our experience. You know what I'm saying? So it is what we make it. You know what I'm saying? 1 second here. I also love and miss Sarah, Charles Colosito. No worries, Vic Victor. I appreciate you. What's up, Soul Price? Good to see you, buddy. If everything was perfect, would we be happy? Good philosophical question. Good stoner philosophical question. If everything was perfect at all times and we never experienced hardship, one could argue the fact that we would not be able to have a true appreciation and understanding of the good. So I would say no, probably not. Or at least we would think we would, but we wouldn't truly understand the depth, because you need to see both sides of the fence to be able to understand. Fun question though. Also too, I know everybody's watching are pretty much like, fuck yeah, you can't have yin without yang. 100% Tony Gilbert. I know most of you watching right now have probably asked any possible question you probably would have ever had for me in terms of weed. You've moved on to being talented, capable growers, doing your own experiments now. But if anyone new is watching or popping in, or if you have a question you've always wanted to ask in terms of growing, feel free to ask anything. I like talking about weed. What's happening, WB Growers? Good to see you, man. It's been a hot minute, baby. Welcome to the show. Hey, yo, what's up? Where'd I put the little weird weed thing? Oh, there it is. Found it. Soul Price, when am I doing autos? One day before I die. Do I look like Mr. Canuck to you? No, just joking. We've been saying for years we will do autos at one point for everybody. And I've been saying to Texas Squatch that I would run his eventually. I will one day do those. When? I don't know. I don't honestly have an answer. At some point. Let's be fair. Am I going to get auto started? No, because again, it's too hot for me to like crank it. And autos, like I want to do autos the way I would do them. And that's kind of cranking from day one. Will we stunt them with too much light initially? Yeah, maybe. But that's okay. That's part of how I'm going to approach it. Right? Struggles to make them stronger. So we will start a photo for sure. How do I cure in jars? Good question, Smokey. So I am a dry trimmer. We'll start there. I'm a dry trimmer, so I dry the whole plant, and then I break down the branches. Then I buck my tops, or the things that I'm going to trim. And then I put those to the side, then I go through and I process and trim those. Once your trimming is done, it goes into glass jars, okay? For the first week, 2 weeks, you're going to be doing daily burping for about 30 minutes. So you're going to open up your jars, okay, for 30 minutes. Honestly, in the first week, what I like to do especially is like take everything, at least on one of my 30-minute burp windows, I'm going to call it. I'm going to take all the buds out, let them hang. Not like hang, but like hang out in like a big bowl, for example. And then I'm going to reload them back into my jars gently. Obviously, we don't want to destroy our hard work. And then I'll reseal them up. I wouldn't do that twice a day. I would do that as like if you're doing 30 minutes for the first week or two, at least in the first week, have one of them where you take it out of the jar, right? And then going forward, it would be daily burping for the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then after 5 to 6 weeks, if we're still curing and burping, which we should be, if we're going for a long cure on something, 2 or 3 times a week for like 10 minutes is fine. And again, don't use Bovita packs or anything like that. If you want to reintroduce a little bit of hydration into your plants, I would say, just watch up my rehydration video. Bit of paper towel, bit of water on it. It'll be fine. Tony Gilbert says, okay, so you have a burp buds just like booze. Oh, burp buds just like booze. Yeah, both give off gases, Tony. They both give off gases. They, it's a thing. Everything we love burps, it seems. cheese, wine, scotch, beer, utilities, me, human beings. We all burp. Yeah, so Vic Victor, nitrogen is not overly important during your flowering period. Um, Actually, having elevated nitrogen in your flowering period can actually stunt your plants or reduce your final growth, right? Or, well, yield. So nitrogen, no. Phosphorus, yes, important. Magnesium, yes. Sulfur, a little bit. It's not as important, but it is important. Potassium, definitely. But yeah, nitrogen and phosphorus are totally fine to rein in during flower for sure. I would rein in my nitrogen a hell of a lot more than my phosphorus, but yeah. I hope that helps. Can I explain the whole THCA thing to you very simply? So there's 2 points to this story. One, THCA is the initial form of THC. It has an extra carbon atom. It is non-psychoactive due to this extra carbon atom. This extra carbon atom can be lost while igniting it while smoking, but that's where, like, if you take like an uncured plant and then you make canna butter right away, it's not going to be fully decarbed or losing that extra carbon atom, which is then, or curing. Curing is a natural form of decarbonization, which means that carbon atom is leaving THCA and becoming THC. THC in and of itself is a psychoactive substance. THCA is non-psychoactive. Second part to my statement, I said there was 2 things I was going to say. A lot of people market products as like THCA crystals. A lot of people will take a rosin and they will press it with like a 20 micron screen, and then they take that little white shit that kind of looks like crack, to be honest with you, that they get, and they call that THCA. That is bullshit. It is not THCA. That's just what we're calling it. It's wrong. Okay, you're not reintroducing a carbon atom into the material you're using to produce that. It's just silly. I've had James Wade, who owns cannaplates.com, really, really smart guy, good company, makes great tech for pressing rosin. Really, really gifted rosin maker. I've learned a lot from him. He's a great bouncing board. When I occasionally talk to him and I give him a shout, just say hi. But, so he taught me how they're making this stuff on a rosin press and calling it THCA. And then I was like, James, can I stop you for a second though, mate? I'll get the process. I'll get what we're doing, okay? I understand. Cool. But that's not THCA, James. You're not reintroducing carbon by doing that. You're not converting THC back into THC. You're really just making a weird crystallized version and removing all this extra stuff that we normally want to smoke anyway. I don't see the point, personally, especially when most rosins are from a good material are going to be anywhere from 70 to 86% active cannabinoids. But it's not THCA. I don't care if we want to call it that. We want to call it that, we can call it that. But they were not reintroducing carbon through this process and taking something inherently psychoactive and making it unpsychoactive just to re-psychoactivate it when we smoke it by introducing heat to drop the extra fucking thing. So, yeah, if that makes sense, there's THCA for you. Also, fun more fact, every cannabinoid starts off as CBV. It's the mother cannabinoid. Everything starts as CBV and it becomes everything else. Think of CBV as like a stem cell, okay? It can differentiate into other cells with a generic platform. CBV from a cannabinoid standpoint is kind of like that. I need some cool bookends up there, bud. Yeah, probably. I'm not fancy like that, though. I'm not rich enough for bookends. But that's funny. I like that. That was funny, Tony. Okay, let me make sure I haven't missed anything. Ooh, Smokey. When should I stop feeding slow-release nutrients during flower? Like week 3? I don't trust slow-release nutrients, Smokey. I'm very nervous about using slow release in general with cannabis, because I can't guarantee that at all. Someone pointed out, like, oh, are you checking your runoff? You can check your runoff. That's going to give you a good read of your parts per million on your runoff. But I'm not a huge slow release fan when it comes to cannabis. But let's say, hypothetically, fuck my princess shit, we're using it. 3 weeks, maybe 4. It depends on the design window of their leaching, though. And if it's a product, hopefully, if it's slow release, it gives you some general indication on at what rate are they releasing. You know what I mean? To quote like some of the stuff, like I remember years ago when people would use like slow release Miracle Grow sticks or this or that, and it's just like, oh my god, like don't. And it's not just because it's Miracle Grow; it's just the inherent nature of the product. But like, there's no real way to control that, right? So easily accessible, readily available nutrients are the better way to go for your plants, because then you can cut off feed, you can start doing the natural process of utilizing the final sugars and leaching out of your fan leaves, your nutritional stores, which is going to give you a sweeter finish. A lot of people are like, well, you know, flushing doesn't make sense, it's bro science, you're not removing salt from the tissues of the plant. Well, yeah, we're not removing salt from the plant, but we're removing salt from our root-based medium, which is also hyperactivating the natural leaching of the plant's own energy stores that are stored within the fan leaves. Fan leaves aren't just for fucking photosynthesis and making energy. They're also where the plant stores backup nutrition, okay? And causing that natural leaching, right, is how you're going to get the best finish to your cannabis. And it's just the way it works. You know, I remember some of these first super soils, and like, look at our super soil, so great, so great. Your plant will never fade. It'll never fade to finish. Cool, but like, that's actually not a desirable trait. Like, that's, at least in my humble 2 cents, I don't want that. I don't want my plant to have readily accessible nutrition right till the end. Because again, the plant needs its full life cycle to properly mature. We need that full life cycle for proper weed titties. So it's like, right? So that's where, one, marketing a super soil to me saying like, your leaves will stay green the whole time. That's great. Don't give a fuck. That's not what I want, mate. You know? Because it's wrong. It's not the way you want your weed to go. You know? And that's where I'm nervous about slow release nutrients, right? I'm nervous about that because I have no control, right? Especially when we're doing indoors in a limited medium area, a limited root ball space, right? Like, we don't want to be using slow release nutrients if we can avoid it. But if we are going to use them, and I'm not being a princess, 3 or 4 weeks. See, I'm still me. World's longest wind answers where I get distracted by 3 other things before I wrap back around to the finish. I'm missing shit now. Bear with me here. Tony Gilbert, Disney Cards Against Humanity sounds amazing, and I would play that with you. That sounds awesome. Nice, Tony Gilbert. Tony Gilbert, do I like clipper lighters? Yes, I do actually like them. They're very big over in Europe. So when I lived in Europe, I only used clippers, except for the occasional time when I found an actual Bic for sale. And Bics are big here in Canada. I love Bic lighters. Bic lighters are my happy place because what I grew up with, it's familiar. I know it. But I do like clippers. I like that you can pull off the tinder wheel and use it as a little stuffy for stuffing your joints. But yeah. Charles Colicito, what is your take on people adding flavoring to vape cartridges? It's sacrilegious, should not be done. They should be metaphorically shot. It is sacrilegious. Flavoring should never be added to a marijuana product, ever. I hate flavored papes. I hate flavored carts. If it's not the plant and just the plant, I have no use for it. I would never release a product like that. Obviously, with edibles, I'm going to add in flavoring. That's a different thing. We're talking about smokables right now. But in the world of smokables, it has no business being added in. It's kind of like someone who drinks a super sugary drink that tastes like juice. If you can't handle booze, you have no business fucking drinking. Am I wrong? Maybe to some. Am I being a purist? Usually am. Am I being a grumpy old man? Well, I am getting older. But yeah, no. That'd be my 2 cents on that. Fuck that. Heck no, bud. I'm just reading. Bear with me, everybody. Yes. Okay. So Aaron Costin, good point. Jorge Cervantes says in recent interviews, say feed all the way to harvest. Bullshit. Jorge Cervantes was a great dude, did a lot of groundbreaking work, did a lot of good things for a lot of people. I read a lot of his work when I was a young grower and learning. He was a very great basic information resource. But we've also disproved a lot of everything he's ever done. For example, to quote one, when he, just whole thing about like, oh, don't worry about powdery mildew. Just do a bit of an H2O2 or H2O2. No, H2O2. H2O2. Hydrogen peroxide. There we go. That works. It's been a while since I've thought about this article. Just do a wash with that and remove that. You're removing exterior powdery mildew for sure. Yeah, you're aesthetically removing issue, but you're not removing it from the flower bud. It's still there. It's still going to make people sick. That's wrong. So a lot of Jorge Cervantes's ideas and teachings have been disproven, and also too, a lot of teachings or thoughts or schools of thought in terms of cannabis, as I've always said, one of my number one things is there's no one route to the end destination. Just because I think you're wrong doesn't mean you are. You're wrong for me and my growing style and my like on flower, right? If it works for you, I say do it. If you're happy with the results, I say do it. But in my humble 2 cents, feeding all the way is bullshit. Now, we are talking about a salt-based nutrient system. If we're going fully organic, where we're not adding additional salt-based anything into the world, then that's a different story. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about using salt-based feeds and nutrition, okay? But at the same time, even if I'm using organic, if I'm feeding to the point where I'm not having any fade on my flower, I call bullshit in my personal humble 2 cents. You need to have some fade. You need to have those natural sugars being used, those natural nutritional stores being used to have a proper finish on your cannabis to get to where you want to be, which is the best weed titties. So no. I would say respectfully, Jorge Cervantes, you were wrong, sir. Dumbass. Okay, now I'm reading again. I'm just reading. Bear with me here, everybody. Squirrel. Tony Gilbert, Bics are horrible for the environment. You are 100% correct. I will not argue on that fact, but I still love them. 1 second here, everybody. I'm reading. Bear with me. Totally sounds good. Smokey, be careful on the molasses, though. High levels of nitrogen in molasses as well can stunt your overall yield. Is molasses important? Yes, but again, be careful. Be careful in flower. What's better, fluffy or hard weed titties? Well, okay, so I've got a few answers to that question, obviously. Which way do I answer first? Well, one, fluffy, typically indica of a sat dom. Don't like sats, so fluffy bad for me. Now, and again, we're talking from a smoking standpoint. Flower that I'm going to consume, that I'm going to roll into a joint. What's a fade? Oh, it's a hairs thing where we fade our hair this way. No, I'm just joking. It's the natural leaching in the fan leaves, Deborah Fletcher, of pulling the nutrition out of the fan leaves to feed the growth and feed the weed titties. Frank's Canna Lounge. Fluffy is better, more trichome space. Yeah, yes and no. I mean, Frank, typically, fluffy is indicative of a sat dom. Don't like sats. 2, fluffy is also indicative of a hotter growing environment. Having that cold to hot switch back and forth is actually going to give you higher cannabinoid levels, better terpene profiles. It does work better on an indica, but it does help in doing a sat run as well. The only time fluffy in my mind is going to be good is if I'm making hash. But then again, though, if it's fluffy, it's a sat, it's not as resonant as an indica, I'm not going to get as good of hash either. But I also think it's a point of contention. From a production standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, from a getting it ready for market standpoint, denser is always better. You're producing denser flowers in a localized area, less energy cost, lower cost of production. You're producing that. Also, if it's dense, naturally, it's going to be an indica or indica variety or kush variety, which is what I'm going to want to buy from you if I were to buy weed from you. So, you know, it is what it is. Everybody has their own flavor, though, right? Like, again, this is one of those things where, like, everyone's going to have a slightly different take on it, right? You know, Frank here likes fluffy, more trichome space. Interesting thought. But less or more trike space, sure, but way less biomass, though, thus producing less trikes. Trike heads produce the active cannabinoid matter within the plant material, but that's not just in the trike head, though. That's going throughout the entire plant. For example, you could have something that's trike to shit, and it is not that strong, and it doesn't get you that high. You can have something that looks bunk as fuck, but is filled with active cannabinoids. So it actually doesn't matter, in many senses, what the trikes look like. Like, yes, even I like something super trikey. It looks nice. It looks pretty. It looks good. Right? But that doesn't mean it's actually better. This is something that could be corroborated by my boy Dave, owner of Trim Test and Press. You know, and that's definitely something I know he would 100% agree with what I'm saying, is that just because something looks trikey and good doesn't mean it's strong, doesn't mean there's a lot of actual things going on it, because he tests all of that both for Healthcare Canada and in the gray zone world. So, potato, really, at the end of the day. So for me, I don't like sats, so I'm going to lean towards something more dense. I'm going to lean to something that's denser also for my own grows, because I'm producing more plant weight for my area. I also know that trikes don't equal strong, so it doesn't matter. It's the strain itself. Trikes equal hash. I like trikes. Okay, so that's the thing. The only time I like fluffy, though, is like if I'm making hash. Like, so if I had like an indica dom that I ran at a higher temperature, may have slightly lower levels, but I'm still going to make a hash, which is like a concentrate, okay? And if it's a little fluffy, you know, freeze that shit. It's going to be easier for me to run it through, and I'm going to get a better return with less agitation to get those trike heads to snap off to make my hash. That's beneficial. I'm going to like that. I don't like plants that are so dense that they've obviously used a synthetic plant growth regulator. Not a fan of that. Not into it. Not my jam. But I do like a good, dense, cushy indica, personally. But that's me, you know. I mean, you can still break dense buds. As long as they're properly dried and cured, you can crumble them like this. Frank's Canna Lounge, Tony, a washer is a hash plant. A washer is a hash plant? I don't quite know what you mean. If you're making reference to hash plant being slightly less dense than other things, totally is. It's actually one of the few hybrid strains that I truly love. It's one of my favorite cannabises in the world, a true hash plant. Also one of the rarest weeds to actually find now. Almost nobody has a true hash plant. It's one of the rarest things about. Not the rarest, but one of the rarest. To get rarer than a true hash plant, you've got to go to some more obscure things. Well, typically obscure. There's a few mainstream things that don't really exist anymore unless you know a few people to talk to. I love a true old school hash plant. And you are correct, though, to say that the old school hash plant is a little less dense colloquially, but it's still not fluffy, though. Like, it's still pretty dense, right? Like, I'm still willing to grow it. And it's not called hash plant for its density. It's called hash plant from the smell, the taste, and its coiffure. It, in flower state, tastes like hash's smell and taste, or traditional hash, in my opinion. What's up, Joe Burns? Been a hot minute, man. Good to see you. What's up, Jansen Denson? Or Jansen Dennis, not Denson. Welcome back. Charles Colicito says, I've been gone for a minute. What we got in the tent? Charles Colicito, right now, nothing. It's way too hot for me to run a grow. I don't have an AC right now, so I would nuke any plant I'd have in flower. We were talking about that at the beginning of the show, that I was like, well, I could technically start seedlings right now. It's not too hot for that, so maybe we'll do that. So when it cools down in 3 to 4 weeks, we'll have something ready to go to throw in the tent for everybody. Nothing at the moment. It's way too fucking hot, and I don't have an AC at the moment. Oh, dude, old school Moroccan hash back in the day, Tony Gilbert, was awesome. I'm excited because I ordered some more bubble bags, the proper size, so I'm actually going to be making a crap ton of hash coming up. I've probably got, doing math, 8 to 14 pounds of smalls and trim that I have ready to go to make into hash, all different sorts. So I'm looking forward to that. Some I might make as like separate batches, but part of me just kind of wants to throw it all together and make one big tomfoolery of a hash ball. Just everything from the last number of years. Like, Tony Gilbert, bro, you have no AC. Are you crazy? Nope, not crazy, just broke. I don't know if people understand how expensive it is in Canada right now, especially for someone who's single, who pays all their bills on their own. They don't split bills with somebody. Like, I can't go just drop the $1,000 I would need on a split unit. That's buying a basic split unit and me doing the install myself, which I totally could do. But like, I just don't have that room in the budget right now. Especially since I got to take this little guy in to get some of his teeth out on the vet. It's going to cost $1 billion. Isn't that right, buddy? Yeah, we take you to the vet 4 times in the last week and a half and got you on the antibiotics to make sure you're not thick. I'm petting Mogwai. He's sitting here. He's got to get some teeth out. But yeah, with shit like that popping up, especially, it's like, yeah, no, fuck it. Potsquatch isn't allowed AC this year. Maybe next year. Charles Colosito, the Freak Rider, we could definitely get one of those going, even if I keep it in veg for an extended period of time. Because the Freak Rider, that's a photo, right? I still have it ready to go. I was actually just looking at the beans the other day, thinking about it. I would be willing to do that one as one of the plants, for sure. I'm willing to do that. I may not flower it right away. I would veg it out and play with it, because also I think it just looked really cool, because it doesn't even look like a weed plant, as long as it's still got that freak show leaves to it. But I am willing to show those off for show because it's a photo. Tony Gilbert says, yeah, it was yellow. It was so good. I've only been able to get it once. I totally go to Morocco to get some. That's fun. Frank's Canna Lounge. Do I ever grow any mutants? Not typically, like, you know, whether we're talking Freak Show, Australian Bastard, or other things like that. I have grown plants that have exhibited mutations. With my limited space right now, I don't. I am going to maybe do a Freak Show hybrid, just out of respect for my friend who referenced that. We got sent that, right? So, if I had more space, Frank's Canna Lounge, if I had more space, I would definitely have some mutants going, just because I think they're nifty and it's fun watching different variations and permutations of genetic expression. But with my limited space right now, typically I'm going to stick to more things that I know I'm going to be able to get something usable to me personally for sure out of. That's why I'm working really hard to eliminate debt right now, so I can get out of debt, so I can start saving, get a down payment, buy a bigger space, so I can actually have space to kind of do some cool stuff, as well as growing my primary medicine, you know what I'm saying? But I wish I had the space, Frank, I guess is my answer. But maybe we'll do that Freak Rider soon, man, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, no, poor Moggy. He's doing okay though. He's getting a lot better. Oh, congratulations, Dan, by the way, on the new puppy. In terms of molasses, if we're talking about cutting molasses out, I would run a little bit later than Miss K. If I'm doing something that's going to run 9 or 10, I'm going to probably rock molasses till week 4 or 5, honestly. But I'm like using very little molasses in weeks 4 and 5. Week 4, not a lot at all. Week 5, barely at all. It still does have some nice accessible sugars, so like a little bit's okay. We just don't want to go too heavy on that because, again, nitrogen, too much nitrogen, that can be bad. Ooh, there's a new horror movie called Thanksgiving on Netflix. Gory, violent teen scream. Sounds fun to me. I know what I'm watching when I get stoned and eat dinner later. Yeah, Dan, you know, puppies start with vet bills. You got to get all their shots, get them fixed, and other stuff like that. And if you mean extra vet bills other than that, I am sorry. depending on the breed, a lot of breeds can inherently have genetic issues. I feel you, Frank, but on this initial Freak Rider cross, to my understanding, it is an F1, and it does express, because I've seen pictures of the F1 being done and expressed. The thing you got to remember about recessive genetics is just because something is traditionally recessive doesn't mean it always is. I give you Exhibit A. That little black dog over there is the same as that dog. They're both Yorkie poos. The poodle genetics are meant to be recessive on a Yorkie poo, meaning they're supposed to look like my little guy here. Betty is a 1 in a million freak. She got her mother's color. Her mom was a black toy poodle. And Betty came out that way. That's why nobody wanted Betty, because she's not supposed to look like that. So again, just because something is typically a recessive trait doesn't mean it isn't going to be expressed oddly. It's not going to be seen in atypical ways, and it doesn't mean that you can't actually then find the strains that express earlier on and then build that into something. So all I'm saying is I'm saying a good generalized statement to think of. Totally, I'll go with that for sure, Frank. But making a declarative statement that it's like a law in a sense, don't do that, because that's just not how genetics work. There's just more likely happenings, if that makes sense. And I'm not trying to be contrarian or be mean at all. I'm just having a conversation with you, Frank, about that. Yo, Daddy-O grows, motherfucker! Well, Michelle, good to see you, buddy. This K's garden, 6 foot veg. Oh yeah, dude, this K. I've vegged things to like over 6 feet veg before. Indoors, it was interesting. Oh, tell you, a flower gets really hard to roll with. You know what I mean? Like, shit. Dude, Frank, if you actually ever get that finished, I would be interested in trying that out. A duck foot crossed with a freak show. That would be interesting. I would be curious. See, now, Frank, you're talking about a cross where, like, I think I would just grow it even with limited space, because I'm curious to see what that would be like. I would be very curious to see that. I'd also be curious to see your choices in terms of stabilization and how did you ride it out? Because you could ride that out in a bunch of different ways. What traits are we going to try to breed to dominance? I don't know. But that'd be fun, man. That sounds really cool. Aaron Costin, what's my mix of molasses to a gallon of water? Typically anywhere from 1 to 3 tablespoons. Plant dependent, medium size dependent, where I'm at, what I'm going for. Also remember too, if we're growing LED, which pretty much I think everybody does now, as you should be, you're going to have to feed more often. Your plants are going to be hungrier quicker with LEDs. It's just the inherent nature of my understanding or theory on why that is. And I mean, it's the one that makes the most sense scientifically. Is if you look at like an HBS as an HID, okay, it's like forcing the fucking light into the plants. It's just cramming it down. The plant's almost stressed by it. So yeah, you're getting good results, but you're like forcing it. It's like force feeding a chicken, right? Where with an LED, the way the photons emit from the LED, the plant can actually shut off to a point and stop absorbing photons when it's had its fill for the moment of its photosynthesis. So it's actually more conducive to the plant doing what the plant genetically wants to do. So it's going to eat a little harder and it's going to eat a little faster, if that makes sense. Hey, Charles Colacino, enjoy your dessert. Say hi to the wife for me. Enjoy the drive. Much love and sending all my love to you. See, boom. So yeah, so these freak riders were an F1 cross, and they are expressing with the weird freak showiness to them. So, see what I'm saying? Like, yeah. And to be fair though, too, right? Like you can't, like, freak shows genetics may be recessive to a lot of cannabis, but it may not be to some other things though, too, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, things are just funny. I'll be right back. I gotta get a beer. Ah, woo! There we go. I actually don't hurt standing up. I just like to make my own band noises. It's fun. I've been doing it since I was 21 years old. Can I stand up and sit down without making noises? Well, technically, yes. Watch. But old man noises are more fun. Sound effects make everything better, baby. You know what I'm saying? All right. Dude, yeah, Freak Show is an interesting thing. I mean, the only thing that I find sad about Freak Show as a mutant is that it just, like, the one time I got to try the flower, it was anticlimactic. And everyone I know who's grown it to fruition and tried it and smoked it was like, it's not great. But I will still stand by my initial statement from years ago that if one could stabilize across a Freak Show to something else, so where the flower isn't Freak Show flower, but the foliar realities are of the Freak Show, it would be able to be hidden in plain sight. It'd be better for illegal places, hypothetically, not that we ever support that. And it would also give you better light penetration, in better airflow. Like, there's a lot of positives to your foliar realities being that of the Freak Show. It's just the flower in and of itself is weird. So Miss K's garden says I wouldn't use more than a teaspoon in a gallon. See, I would use 1 to 3 tablespoons in a gallon. But I feed really heavy. When I'm feeding guys, girls these days, I crank it. Like, I remember when Caden Crooks, and he's always been on this bench. He's like, dude, my weed never looks like yours. And then he was even using my lights. I gave him some Squatch lights, and he was like, it still doesn't look like yours. And then he came over to my grow, and he saw how I feed, and he saw what I was putting in a gallon of water. And he was like, holy shit, you put that much in a gallon of water? And I'm like, yeah, dude. When I'm feeding, bro. And remember my earlier statement. You can technically feed a cannabis plant as much as you want, but you can't start off feeding it that much. You've got to build up to that feed level, okay? Work it the way up to it, okay? And then it's ready, right? It's like, you wouldn't take a 6-year-old who just played football for their first year as a young kid, and it's not even really football, and put him in the NFL, would you? Same basic concept, really. Am I being dramatic with that analogy? Yeah, but it's funny. The linebacker hitting the 6-year-old is obviously going like to level 10 on your feet. Okay, I feel like I'm falling behind again. Stanton sent me an email, okay, because I actually am a professional voiceover actor. I have done cartoons, I've done this, that, but it's a really hard world in the formal world of voiceover to break into. I do all sorts of voices. But, you know, there's basically like 11 to 15 people that basically make all of your cartoons in terms of their voices. But Fiverr, I think I'm kind of aware of that, but I mean, I haven't really looked into it. But I have it at a home studio. I could record anything and everything. I could record a book for someone. I actually was talking to a friend earlier, and she was like, yo, why aren't you doing books on Audible? I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't really know how to access these things. Like, I guess I could just Google it and figure it out. Like, it's not like I'm fucking 90. I know how to use the internet. It's not just for porn and weed, I guess. I'll get my news too, right? But, no, you know what? It's not a bad idea, though. Because, you know what? Like, I could find at least 1 to 4 hours a day after work, after all the other stuff I'm doing, to record in my studio, and I could start doing voiceover gigs for things. I've never really been aware of the marketplace or how to access that, you know. It was a really stormy night. His hands went down her body. See, of course, I love how my brain goes, I should read erotic fiction. That's where my voiceover money is going to be made. Potsquatch reading romantic fuck novels. Sorry, I found that amusing. Dan Stutsky, I apologize. Let me do the drinking for you, Dan. Dude, crazy, cool. So you're working on an F. Okay, so Frank, I'm definitely down. I'll trade you some of my F1s or F2s that I have of some fun things. I just haven't had the space to really continue anything right now. But It doesn't have to be a gift. I'm willing to trade. I'm willing to send you something to play with too. Sorry, everybody. I'm just reading everybody really quick. Jansen says, summertime. Potsquatch genetics are awesome. Well, thank you. They're not bad. I still haven't created what I would call my pièce de résistance yet. Well, the Sasquatch we created years ago was one of them. Or that Master Kush Northern Lights cross we did. Oh, shit. Donkey dicks at fucking 4 weeks. Aaron Costin, I've heard conflicting differences. You're always going to hear conflicting information and difference of opinion because there is no one way to the end thing. Everybody has their own style. So I would say learn everything of what all the opinions are. Try different things out for yourself. Always experiment. That's why I always say the true grower is the forever student. Well, that's because that's the bloody truth. And the fact of the matter is, just because I want to crack a bolt and rebuild a strut system the way I want to do it doesn't mean necessarily you have to do it that way too. I could have used a lot of analogies, but I fix a lot of cars these days, so that's where my brain went. But the funny thing is, when I started this channel, I knew fuck all about fixing cars. Now I'm a fleet manager for fucking 36 different vehicles. I got buses, I got Mercedes R350s. R350s are the stupidest Mercedes ever built, and I hate Mercedes. German engineering only works on paper. It is a nightmare to try to maintain and far too expensive. But on paper, it's great. I've got smart cars, I've got Volkswagens, I've got Priuses, I've got a lot of stupid things. Anyway, moving on. What's up? Dude, Pilgor in the house, dude. What's up, Pilgor? Good to see you. Everybody, Recharge is a great product in general, or anything like Recharge is going to be beneficial as long as they don't got like poison in it. But yeah, the general concept of the product is great. Frank, if you could get a bit of the skunk with that berry, that'd be sexy as fuck. Because they're actually very two counterintuitive things. Let's think genetically. Where do these smells and tastes come from? Well, it has to do with the plant's origin or genetics origin of land and what the pollinators of the local area were. That's where like a lot of things naturally occurring, and things from this side of the world are sweet and fruity because our pollinators are typically bees and things of that nature. Where if you go over to Afghanistan and the Middle East, where you get all these gases and these skunks and some of the things smell like they're dying things. That's because dung beetles and things like that are their pollinators. Funny how that works, right? Joe Burns says, Mr. Squatch, it's off topic, but for lifetime finance, you should look up Jack Bogle, passive investing and slow ways to gain wealth. I mean, I'm always down to learn. I'm always down to learn in terms of that. My life plan is actually real estate and properties, rental properties in Canada. Development for sale. We got condos everywhere. We can't sell them. Potsquatch is going to buy apartment buildings or buy all the condos and just rent them. People will be like, oh, you're a slumlord. No, I'm going to take care of my tenants. And I'm like, let's say this costs $3,200 for this apartment. I'm going to charge you $2,800, maybe $2,700. I'm going to undercut the market. I'm still making money. Everyone's happy. But I'm definitely down to check it out, though, by the way. That sounds good. Good to see you, too, Pilgor, by the way. Good to see you, too, buddy. How's Dopey doing, buddy? Miss Cave's Garden. How much would it freak you out if one day you downloaded an audiobook and it was this voice coming through to you? Or at least one of my other voices that I do. That would be hilarious. Sorry, everybody. I'm just reading and trying to catch up here. Timmer's like, do some samples of 50 Shades. I'm assuming we meant to put 50 Shades there. And yeah, that'd be funny, for sure. In this case, like, I would listen to Potsquatch doing dirty novels. To be fair, honestly, I think a lot of people would totally actually not mind me reading erotic fiction. I think me reading erotic fiction would actually be okay. I will admit, I'm a very sexual man. And I think I could do justice to the scenes. My bigger question is, Pilgor, Do you still got your tortoise? I know we're talking about the duck strain, but I'm asking about the tortoise. How's the tortoise doing, Pilgor? I want a tortoise. They're so cool. I mean, Tony Gilbert, I kind of make my drivers at the buildings kind of do that general maintenance, but at the same time, if I had a localized service that was willing to do a quick detail, I'm open to numbers. I know what the going rates are on smaller companies here. For an exterior thing, it depends on what you're offering, though, and to the level of which you'd be detailing on the exterior or interior. Daddy O'Gross says, I like Ford and BMW, and I respect your right to do that. Uncle Potsquatch buys Cadillacs. I'm a Cadillac man. If I had to buy a truck, I don't know where I'd buy a truck from. I'll tell you this much, I hate Mercedes. The only thing, if I was rich, if I was Oprah rich, there's one Mercedes I might buy, which is the G-Wagon. Some of the fully loaded G-Wagons that are the better part of $1 million are pretty nifty. Especially if I get the one that's like bulletproof and it's got flamethrowers and shit. Germans do make some cool shit. Horrible to maintain. It's so expensive to fix, but some cool shit. Dude, that's awesome, Pilgor. I'm very happy for you guys. Send my love to Dopey, man. Dude, the old school blue cheese is the shit. I've still got some in my collection. I don't know how true of an old school blue cheese it is, but one day I'll try. Pilgor says, I sold our properties. Wait, all the properties? Like you don't have the farm anymore? Or like just a bunch of it and you still have some? Potsquatch, explain cheese. What, you mean the strain? It's a strain that stinks and it kind of smells like a stinky fromage. Genetically, what's its origin story? It's got a bunch of different shit on it. Skunk went into it. It's a variation of a skunk variety, and to be fair, I got a feeling like there was some like hash plant intercrosses in there. But again, like a lot of our histories on these strains, they're largely oral traditions, so you'll get conflicting stories on what actually went into what and who actually did what. But thinking of buying another 80 acre. Oh wait, so did you break it down and flip it out piece by piece? Because that's fucking smart. Miss Case Garden, what happened to the castle? It's still on the market. I just can't afford it. And without the job that is on the west coast of the country, I can't afford to move to the east coast country. So I would need a job offer offering me anywhere from $80,000 to $120,000 a year for me to actually justify moving to where the castle is. I'm still down, by the way. Andy Buffont, celebrity hairdresser. Wonderful to see you, my friend. I am well. Welcome to the show. But in answering the question about the castle, I still want to buy the castle. I still want to do all the castle shit. But again, I would need sufficient income either in PEI or regardless of where I'm living to justify the mortgage. One day, man can dream. Haven't seen you in a while. How is Donnie? Couldn't tell you. We separated almost 4 years ago. She turned out to not be the person she once was. I guess she would say the same thing about me. We outgrew each other. Let's say that. Deep down, I'll admit, I still care about her a lot. I'll always care about her, even though I also have a lot of other feelings from how things ended. I wish her the best, and I hope she's doing well. But, yeah, no, she hasn't been part of the picture in a hot minute, buddy. It's been a while, you know. It's definitely been a while if you're asking that question. I've grown Jack the Ripper many moons ago, yes. Stable seeds, to be honest with you, Jack the Ripper is one of those things where I don't think there's really a very stable variation of it available, to be honest. It was so lost in weird, like, crosses back in the day. And if I'm remembering correctly, Jack the Ripper was a co-variation built off Jack Herrera. Jack Herrera, even though it won a Cannabis Cup, it was this huge thing, readily available for a long time. It's very hard to find that. Honestly, my only issue with Dodge trucks, Tony, is that they have been in the last number of years having a lot of issues with the transmission. So if I were to buy a truck, I would probably go GMC. I also liked Dottie too, and I also found her very funny, Andy. I'm that guy. You need a Unimog, German. What's a Unimog? Never heard of it. Is that a type of car? Unimog? I got a Mog Y. I call him Mog. That's my little boy dog. Well, you should make some more beans and share them with Potsquatch, though, Pilgor. That's mean to rub it in my face, not share. But yeah, buy big, split it up. If you can flip that shit, do it, buddy. That's really smart. Chromie Stomie says, I like your funny voices. Well, thank you, sir. I also enjoy my funny voices. Most of these voices were developed as a child who had no friends, and I found ways to entertain myself. And then I grew into an adult, and I still do it as an actor. Spetty Mike, you can't have my cheese either. Well, fine. That's fine. I think sharing's caring. I think they're just rubbing it in. But I will also say to you, Tony, a lot of people say they have cheese, but then I smoke what they've grown or what their genetic is, and I wouldn't call it a true cheese. I'm very particular about what I would actually call a cheese. Daddy Grow says GMC, Garbage Man's Cadillac, bro. They're the same company, though, bro. It's the same company, man. It's, and to be fair, like, Cadillac doesn't really, like, Cadillac makes a kind of pickup truck version of the Escalade. But I wouldn't buy an Escalade either, though, because an Escalade is basically a Tahoe with Cadillac written on it and costs way more. But a G-Wagon. I don't like Mercedes, but I love cheese too, everybody. Cheese is good. El Mexico CS, hello, hola. What's up? I mean, Miss K, honestly, the last time I smoked good cheese was either in Europe or like back when I was like, realistically, like 16 or 17. In Canada, I haven't had a true cheese in Canada since I was like 16, 17, or 18. I had some in my early 20s in Europe that was pretty darn cheesy. But even then, it wasn't really like a true cheese. Something had been lost. And like even me and my Dutch homies, who were doing drum and bass shows together, and I was like, yo, this is pretty cheesy, but it's not like the cheese we used to get when I first met you guys when we were 15. They're like, yeah, no, dude, right? Like, it's so hard to find a true cheese. Dude, Spetty Mite, that sounds like it'd be pretty good. I mean, if someone were to show up right now and they whipped out a bag of cheese and I smelt it and I'm like, fuck. And then I smoked it and I was like, double fuck. And I'm like, that's exactly what I remember as cheese. I would be a very happy dipshit. That would be so good. Dude, yeah. I mean, Green Crack was strong. Green Crack was always definitely strong for show. I never liked the smell or the taste of Green Crack. It just never seemed to finish properly. It was kind of chlorophyll-y to me, in my opinion. Like, but that a lot of people who loved it and grew it were like, no, it's supposed to be like that. And I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. It just wasn't my cup of tea. But then again, though, you're not going to like everything that's out there, though, either, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't think he was toxic. Fair, I might be out of date. I don't even know if I fully understand the definition of what toxic means in terms of a land cruiser. Someone wrote that, but I was saying in terms of the chat. Maybe I'm being out of touch. Dude, no, Toyota does build some really good shit, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Toyota definitely makes some decent things. Their trucks actually aren't that bad. I enjoy the way they design some of their engines. Their Japanese engines are really, really easy to work on, which I appreciate. So Tony Gilbert says, I haven't seen this since 2008-ish. So yeah, like if I'm doing math here, I graduated high school in 2006. I was 18. So Yeah, so if that gives you some placement on timelines in my head of when I'm like referencing my age. And then now everyone's gonna be like, oh my God, you graduated high school in 2006. I'm like, yeah, I'm a lot younger than most people have always thought. That's been a common theme since day one with the channel. Everybody always thought I was a lot older than I was. Just for everyone to know, I just turned 37 on July 5th. Yeah, can someone give us like Pilgor, are you following all of this? I don't understand what's happening. Is this like an inside joke that Potsquatch isn't getting? Pilgor's not causing any drama, everybody. So, like, calm down. Nothing has been done that I'm upset about. Dude, Tony, don't worry. You're not the first one. I'm way younger than pretty much everyone assumes. Leave Pilgor alone, everybody. Pilgor, don't get into it. Oh, they're your trolls? Okay, cool. Welcome, trolls of Pilgor. You're welcome here. To be fair, your trolls are a lot nicer than the trolls I've had over the years. My trolls are just outright mean. I think these ones are just kind of playful, it seems. But Joe Burns, this is nicotine, because I try not to smoke many cigarettes. I still have a couple of cigarettes a day. This is live resin with liquid diamonds. Quite tasty. I mean, the flavor's not perfect, but the functionality of the product, shall we say, is quite nice. Okay, so we're just being playful. Because to me, this whole, like, interchange, honestly, it kind of reads more like playful and more like just, you know, teasing each other like mates. So that's fine. I don't mind people being playful and teasing each other a little bit. As long as we actually respect each other and everyone's feeling okay. I'm okay with that. I cut down on cigarettes a lot. Dude, that's fucking awesome, bro. I also do too. Honestly, on a daily basis, I'll go for days where I don't have one, but sometimes I'll have like maybe one or two in the morning, maybe one when I get home from work. And that's usually about it. Sometimes if I'm having more than a beer or two, like I might have an extra one or two, but so like two to five. They're playing. Okay, playing's allowed. I'm allowed, or I'm okay with playing, even if I don't fully understand the game. Excuse me. Me and Miss Case Gardner just sitting here like, I don't fully understand what's happening. But like, I figured if it was actually bad, Pilgor would have been like, something actually bad was happening. See, this is what happens. I'm out of the loop for a while, and then I'm not present, and then I don't know who anyone is anymore. But don't worry. I'm going to make an effort to... My days off typically are Saturdays, Sundays, so I'm going to try to do a show on Saturdays. So we'll do a show on Saturdays going forward for everybody. And am I still timed out? No, Cliff Barnes. I don't think we timed out anyone this whole show, Cliff Barnes. I don't think anyone's actually been timed out this whole show, because it normally shows me like a thing when people... Pilgor blocks us on all the other lives. Yeah, on my show, though, people aren't allowed to block people unless I ask them to, though. And I don't think moderators can block people, though, to be fair. I think they can only put people on timeouts. I think I'm the only one that can formally block someone. And I think to this date, there's only been, in almost 10 years, roughly 10 years, give or take, of doing this, I think I've only actually blocked 5 or 6 people, actually. Let's go 5 to 10, because, like, it's been a long 10 years, so 5 to 10. But I definitely don't think I've blocked someone every year, so, like, let's go 5 to 10, though. You never know. Some mods can block. It's weird. I don't know. But there's been no timeouts on this one, because I get a thing about it. Yeah, I was gonna say, Pilgore's only ever had my back a couple of times when people were being really horrifically horrible on my channel. There's been times, and this is years ago, but Pilgore had my back with some pretty horrible people showing up and doing pretty bad things. But no, Pilgore's always been a gent, and I respect him. He's my friend. If you don't like it, tough shit. But I don't mind if they play. Playing is fine. I mean, you know what? If this is what trolling looks like now in the modern YouTube world, this is way better than it was back in my day. I'll tell you, you young whippersnappers, back in the day, people were super fucking mean. Using emoticons the way people do too, like that's new to me, seeing that in this. My God. You got to remember, Tony, I was born 90 in my head, so I've got the mind of a 90-year-old man. Goddamn kids in my grass and your noise and shit. To be fair, though, it's funny. Like, I mean, I have noticed as I'm aging, so I turned 37 this year, recently. And I will admit, I have noticed myself looking at now. To be fair, in my defense, I think the generations after mine. Now, maybe every generation felt that way. Maybe it would be true at the time. Are getting dumber and stupider. Like I respect a lot about them. Like there's certain things I respect in the younger generation. They seem to be genuinely nice to each other more than mine. Like my generation, I'm a millennial. I'm like smack dab in the middle of it. Born '88. We were mean to each other. A lot of my Gen X friends, you know, they were mean to each other growing up too. So like kids seem to be nicer in general to each other than they were in my day and age. So I respect that. I respect the empathy and compassion younger generations seem to be showing each other. But I will find myself saying I think a lot of younger people don't have the same work ethic that we do. I will find myself finding your new turns of phrase and your slang words stupid. I was like, well, my slang meant something and it made sense. Your guys' words mean weird things. Like, I remember the first time I heard the concept of Riz. Who here knows what Riz means? Who here knows what Riz means? Who here knows what Riz means? I do now. But it was like, it was funny because like, this one kid's like, man, you got some Riz. I remember stopping. This is the first time I heard it. I turned to him. I said, what? Cheese whiz? What the fuck are you talking about? They're like, no, Riz. So what Riz means is having game or swagger. It means being able to be charming and charismatic, I guess. And I think that's where they got it, like charisma, Riz. I think that's how they arrived at it. So I guess, I don't know. I like swagger, having game or Mac better in my terms. That's my generation's way of saying it. But I remember the first day I realized it. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I just remember what doxing is. I think I just remember that because I had a young woman do it to me and I didn't realize it. And I remember calling, one of my friends, and I was like, I was at work, and this young person, she's like 20, she was just like really mean to me, like rude. It was weird. I didn't get it. And then I told them what they said, and they started laughing at me, and they're like, oh, they're just doxing you. I was like, well, what the fuck's that? And I think what doxing is it's kind of like how when you were in grade 3 and you'd be like mean to the girl or boy you liked, but you actually liked them. I think that's how young people flirt now. So they're like, they've gotten rid of being mean to each other in normal interactions, but now their seduction works like they just insult each other or mean. And I'm like, oh man, that is so generationally not how my brain works. I walked away thinking you were being mean and going like, well, I don't care how pretty you are, you're just a bitch. Well, to be fair, though, Pilgore, though, too, when I realize what these kids are doing on how they're hitting on each other, and I'm like, fuck, man, this reminds me of, like, grade 3 or 4 when you're being mean to the person you like. And I'm like, that's what young adults do now? Fuck, man, my generation gave that up in grade 3 or 4. Most of us gave that up in grade 3 or 4. When did the memo go out that, like, we're updating flirting now? You don't grow out of that. You actually just double down on it, and that's how you think you're going to get laid. Doesn't work for my age bracket personally, but power to the kids. Let them be them. I mean, I have no issues with it, but I'll put it to you this way: they're certainly different than my generation was. And so, rounding back to my general statement of just being, I feel like an old man sometimes because I see these young people now, and I'll catch myself going like, "What the hell are these kids talking? Y'all don't make any sense. Your turns of phrase and your slang is stupid and it doesn't have a thing. It's weird." But, yeah, anyway, who knows? Power to them. Because kids will be kids, I guess. But it's so funny to me, though, too. Like, let's say I'm out having a beer and a young woman comes up to me and tries to hit on me. I'm either not going to understand what she's doing, think she's just mean, or be like, oh, I understand what you're doing now because I've learned what some of these things are. And I'm like, oh, like if you're actually hitting on me like that, you're way too young for my penis. Sorry. Go enjoy your drink with your friends. I'm going to go talk to adults now. Okay, bye. Thanks. Early on when I realized that transition, before I learned all the new things of young people, this is how I would approach it. If I was suspicious of someone's age, if they talked to me in the bar, I would turn to them and I say, okay, what's a rotary phone? What? Tell me what the yellow pages were. What? What's a VHS? What? Windows 3.1 had what games? What? What's ICQ? What? AOL? Messenger? Hotmail, Messenger. MSN technically is what it was called. What? My dog is named Mogwai. What movie does that come from? What? There was a 22-year-old nurse tech at the vet the other day when I was there. And it was hilarious to me because she's like, I don't know how to say your dog's name. And I was like, oh, it's Mogwai. She's like, oh my God, that's so different and so interesting. What's that from? So to me, like, everybody knows the film Gremlins. Everyone knows Gremlins and Gremlins 2, right? And like, she goes, oh, what's that? I was like, it's a very popular movie about like gremlins, and the Chinese called them mogwai, and there's like, they start out furry and they become like lizard beasts and then they attack. It's also kind of funny. It's a great film. You haven't seen that? Oh no, I haven't seen that. I don't actually watch a lot of movies. And I was like, oh my God. I had never felt older. I had never felt older. I was like, oh dear God. But see, the weird thing is, though, is like I'm at that weird age where like I'm older, but I'm not that old yet. So like these young people occasionally will try to hit on me. I just get uncomfortable, and I'm like, oh, this is weird. Like, I don't know how to talk to you. I'm an adult, but I feel like I need another adult. Adults, I need more adults. Can we talk about prank calling people from the phone book? Who remembers Jerky Boys? Not Ownage Pranks, which is a thing on YouTube now that ripped off Jerky Boys. Remember taping songs off the radio with a cassette tape? Hell, you can be even older. I technically know what an 8-track is. I've rewired them a few times. We can talk about that too. Just don't leave me alone with these weird kids and their weird words I don't understand. No, dude, I love Ownage Pranks, but they ripped off Jerky Boys. Ownage Pranks is great, but they ripped off Jerky Boys. That's the thing. Yeah, it's creepy. P2D2. I don't even notice originally at first when it happens. And then I'm like, oh, is that what this is? Like, oh, your generation's just wrong. Okay, bye. No, I'm good. Thanks. Okay, bye. That's right. This Frank Rizzo. I sell cars. I sell fucking car to anybody. I'll show that up and I'll fucking smack you silly. I mean, Frank Rizzo's a great character. Frank Rizzo was a great character. And there was a lot of different interpretations and orientations of Frank Rizzo over the years. But Frank fucking Rizzo was awesome. For those of you who do not know what we're talking about, look up Jerky Boys prank calls. They used to come on a CD back in the day. It was a great experience. Jerky Boys was awesome. And then, yeah. Right, Tony? I feel you. I've actually just had to rewire some stuff and help some buddies with some old 8-tracks. And it's like 8-tracks and old tech like that is so simple that I can figure it out. So I usually can help. But it's like funny how that is, right? Have I seen his trinket store? No, I didn't know he had a trinket store. Daddy O'Grow says, bro, I call my little dog a carpet crawling linoleum lizard. I love that. Good times. Dude, right? Jansen Dennis, I love that song. I'm an adult now. It's a great song. And it's like, I think only in the last like 7 years have I really started to actually understand that song properly. And I'm like, oh my God, so it does happen. It does eventually happen. Well, my friends, my family, we've now hit 101 minutes and 7 seconds, which puts us past my whole long show. I was going to go for at least an hour and a half. I got to go do some stuff. I got to go do laundry, get it in the dryer and stuff, and I'm going to go do either a ropes course or a zip line up in the mountains tomorrow. I can't remember which one, but it's a thing. It's one of the two. I'm doing both. I just can't remember which one's this weekend, so I've got to go. I got to get some other stuff out. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being supportive for those old and new. And thank you for the playfulness. It's been enjoyable, even though I didn't necessarily understand all of it. But, have a good time. And we'll see you again next Saturday. We'll do a show next Saturday. And I will... Oh, dude! Greg is here. Gregory! Good to see you. He's tuning in right at the end. I'm just saying goodbye, Brother Greg. But everyone, this is Brother Greg. He's down in California. I'm gonna name him Super Jacked Workout Master Yoda Squatch. Gregory is one of the most intelligent people in terms of taking care of your body, learning how to train and get yourself healthier. He even taught my stupid, stubborn, bald, bearded ass some things. Quite a few things, actually, that to this day I still use in trying not to age too quickly. Hell, there was a Muscle Mania. It wasn't Muscle Mania. It was like a men's muscle health thing because he was a bodybuilder for many moons. Greg, I think, was 55 on this one. And he was sitting there jacked as shit. More jacked than I've ever been in my whole goddamn life. And it was like, Gregory Allen Reed, redefining aging as a male. And that's the man I trust to learn things from, I'll tell you. But my friends, my family, it's been a good show. It's been nice to see everybody again. Greg, thanks for popping in at the end. Feel free to call and say hi really quickly after the show if you want. It's cool if you're busy too. I miss you, buddy. But we'll be back next Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. We'll come back, do another live for you. And I will make my old lazy ass do the last clip because I've been shooting this video slowly for everybody of the harvest. And I got to do a trimming component to it. And then I've got the video to slap together and I'll release it. So we'll get that out this week before the next live stream. I'll do it. But that'll tell you how the last crop went. You'll get to see things and it'll be fun and all of that. So, yeah, like, subscribe if you're into that. We're going to start releasing content again. We'll get plants going again this week too. I guess I'll make a small video about what we actually decided to do. I'm going to try to find something fun, something weird, something different, but something I actually still want to smoke. We'll find out, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, but we'll figure it out, baby, you know what I'm saying? But, yeah, so we'll get that all going for you. Thanks for being so welcoming back and for everybody showing up. I appreciate that. And, check out the Potsquatch Growers community on Facebook. I'm going to try to be more present and active on there, too. That's our little Facebook group where we all share our grows and we're friends with each other and all that shit. And we teach each other and have a good time. Check out PotsquatchSales.com. Is where you're going to get your hats, your T-shirts, your grinders, your papers, and all that kind of shit, your seeds. Beard oil, CBD beard oil and shit like that and all that stuff. Yeah, keep it sexy, keep it real, man, and I guess as one thing I'll never forget is how we've always finished the show. All the videos. I had hair when we started this. Remember, the true grower
is the forever student. The true grower is not afraid to take risks. The true grower makes educated, stupid decisions. Remember, there's 1,001 highways to the same destination. If it works for you, that's all that matters. Love your plants, love yourselves, take some risks, try something new, but remember what you know. Keep it sexy, motherfucker, and word to your mother. I guess your dad, too. Peace.